Living in Playa Vista, the complete guide to moving and buying a home in Playa Vista. If you're thinking about moving to Playa Vista or buying a condo or home in Playa Vista, this is a video I would definitely recommend watching first. I'm going to give you a complete guide to what it's actually like to living here. From Playa Vista's history to the difference between phase 1 and phase 2, home prices, HOA fees, Mello-Roos tax, schools, parks, restaurants, walkability, weather, amenities, and some of the things you should know before buying here. I'm Alicia Rivett, a Los Angeles Realtor with the Agency in Beverly Hills. I'm also a Playa Vista homeowner, so this is a community I know not just from selling real estate here, but actually living here myself. So I'm going to give you both the real estate perspective along with my local perspective, including some of the things you might not realize about Playa Vista until you actually live here. So if Playa Vista is on your radar, let's dive into everything you need to know about this city. So first we'll start with, where is Playa Vista? Playa Vista is located on the west side of Los Angeles, an area commonly known as Silicon Beach. Geographically, you're just inland from Playa del Rey and Marina del Rey, with Culver City and Mar Vista nearby. Loyola Marymount University, or LMU, is also located just minutes away above the bluffs of Playa Vista. This is something buyers relocating to the area might not realize. And one of the biggest advantages to Playa Vista is how central it is. So you're close to LAX, the beach, Marina del Rey, Venice, Culver City, and many of the employment centers throughout Los Angeles. So depending on traffic and your exact destination, Santa Monica, West Hollywood, Beverly Hills, and the South Bay are all relatively accessible from here. And that's a major reason why Playa Vista has attracted both people working in tech, entertainment, media, aerospace, and other industries throughout Los Angeles. But there's another type of location that I think is equally important. It's not just about how Playa Vista connects you to the rest of Los Angeles, it's about what access you can get without leaving Playa Vista. So this is one of the few relative communities in Los Angeles where you can walk out your front door and potentially walk to coffee, dinner, groceries, a local gym, movies, multiple parks, and everyday convenience. So for a city that's famously car dependent, that's a major lifestyle difference here in Playa Vista. So next we'll dive into the history of Playa Vista. So before we talk about Playa Vista, you need to really understand what existed before this construction was built. The history of the area is fascinating because Playa Vista simply didn't evolve from older residential neighborhood. Historically, this part of Los Angeles was connected to a larger coastal wetland ecosystem. So the Bologna wetlands and its surrounding marshland once extended across a much larger area as we now know it on the west side. The environmental history, however, is still visible today. So immediately west of Playa Vista, there's the Bologna Wetlands Ecological Reserve, and the community was developed with significant open space and habitat areas around it. But there's also a major chapter in Playa Vista's history regarding Howard Hughes. So beginning in the 1940s, the area became quickly associated with Howard Hughes and the huge aircrafts. So the major Hughes aircraft facility occupied much of the property and became an important center of the aviation and aerospace development. Most famously, Hughes H-4 Hercules, best known as the Spruce Goose, was built here in Playa Vista. And you can still see pieces of that of history today. So some of the enormous historical hangars have been preserved and repurposed, including the famous Hercules campus. The same land that once represented Southern California's aerospace industry eventually became another part of a major transformation. So in the late 1990s and early 2000s, development began on what would eventually become Playa Vista. So instead of creating traditional Los Angeles subdivision, Playa Vista was conceived as a major master plan community where homes, parks, offices, retail, recreation, and open space would all be integrated together. The first residents began moving into the community in early 2000s, and then Playa Vista entered another chapter. Technology and media companies began moving into this part of the west side, establishing the area that we now call Silicon Beach. Google established a major presence in the historic Spruce Goose hangar, and companies including YouTube and other tech and media businesses office established nearby. So when you walk around Playa Vista today, essentially you're seeing three different eras layered together. The original wetlands and the natural environment, the Howard Hughes aerospace area, and modern Silicon Beach community today. So I think knowing the history gives you a completely different appreciation for Playa Vista as a city. So phase 1 versus phase 2. If you're gonna buy real estate in Playa Vista, one of the first things you need to understand is phase 1 versus phase 2. You'll hear those terms constantly when looking at homes here. So phase 1 represents the original portion of Playa Vista, with many of the residential communities built predominantly here in the early to mid 2000s. You'll find a wide variety of housing here. 1-bedroom condos, 2 or 3 bedroom residents, and multi-level townhomes. You'll also have established neighborhood distinctions like Concert Park, many mature trees, and landscape areas here. Then you have phase 2, which was built a little later, for instance. Phase 2 contains newer construction and also includes many of the homes surrounding the Runway area. Generally speaking, phase 2 is comprised of newer construction, larger square footage, and sold at a much higher price point. You'll also find contemporary luxury condos, townhouses, and some of Playa Vista's largest detached residents here. Phase 2 puts you particularly close to the Runway, Playa Vista, and also the resort gym, for instance. So there's important tax distinction buyers should understand, for instance. Phase 1, you'll encounter Playa Vista's Mello-Roos assessment. While phase 2 was structured differently, it does not have the same Mello-Roos assessment as in phase 1. Both phase 1 and phase 2 properties, however, are still within the Los Angeles County, and the applicable will pay the Los Angeles property taxes, for instance. So whenever you're purchasing, I recommend reviewing the actual tax bill and disclosures for the specific property rather than estimating your taxes solely based on if you're in phase 1 or phase 2. What does it cost to buy in Playa Vista? Now let's get into one of the biggest questions. How much does it actually cost to buy in Playa Vista? And this is where Playa Vista gets interesting because there isn't one simple answer. Looking at the sales data I'm using for this video, I reviewed 75 Playa Vista sales for the year as of August 2026. The prices range from approximately $515,000 all the way up to $5.4 million. So that's a huge range. For 1-bedroom properties in this data set, sales range from roughly $515,000 to just over $1 million. The median price for 1-bedrooms was $732,000. 2-bedroom sales range from approximately $689,000 up to $2,090,000. So with the median sales price for 2 bedrooms at $1.1 million. 3-bedroom sales had an even wider range from approximately $975,000 to $3,210,000, with the median sales price for 2 bedrooms at $2,125,000. Sorry, that was for 3 bedrooms. The 3 bedrooms on average were $2,125,000. So once you move into 4 bedrooms and the larger properties, particularly the newer phase 2 homes and detached residents, you're generally entering a very different price category. The detached single-family homes in this particular data set range from approximately $1.9 million up to $5.4 million. So Playa Vista can serve a very different buyer pool, for instance. Someone might be purchasing a smaller condo well below $1 million, while another buyer several streets away could be purchasing a $4 or $5 million luxury residence. And this is why when I evaluate Playa Vista simply, you can't just look at it based on the average price per square foot. So for instance, building matters, floor plan matters, what phase you're in matters, location with the community matters, along with natural lighting, views, outdoor space, upgrades, floor level, parking configuration, and proximity to the parks or runway can all affect the value. So 2 condos with nearly identical square footage can sell at significantly different prices. So next we'll discuss Playa Vista HOA fees, amenities, and Mello-Roos tax. So let's talk about something every buyer needs to consider before relocating to Playa Vista and understand, which is firstly the HOA fees. This can be a little confusing when you first start looking at homes here in Playa Vista because it's very different than many traditional Los Angeles neighborhoods. So first off, why does Playa Vista have HOA fees? Playa Vista is a master plan community in Silicon Beach, which means many of the shared spaces, amenities, landscaping, and community features you see throughout the neighborhood or professionally maintained. So unlike buying a house in a traditional Los Angeles neighborhood where you may have no homeowners association at all, purchasing in Playa Vista generally means becoming a part of a larger Playa Vista community association. And for the condos and all the properties, for instance, you also have an individual building HOA as well. So when you're looking at Playa Vista listings online, you can see a HOA amount. The number might not tell you the entire story, for instance. So as of 2026, the Playa Vista City HOA fee is $375 for a month. And then depending on the property, homeowners may pay also an individual building HOA, which can vary for each community to community. So building HOA fees generally range from approximately $250 to $1,000 a month, although the actual amount depends on the specific property, the building association, also the square footage of the unit. So this means when I'm helping a buyer evaluate owning in Playa Vista, we're not just looking at the property price, but we're looking at the total monthly cost of home ownership. So what does your building HOA cover? This is another area where Playa Vista needs to look beyond the number itself. What your HOA covers depends on the individual building or residential community. So depending on the property, building HOA fees may help cover things like building and common area maintenance, landscaping, common area utilities, building insurance, reserve contributions, property management expenses, exterior maintenance, water, trash, certain utilities, exterior building insurance or exterior earthquake insurance, community-specific amenities. The exact inclusions vary from building to building here in Playa Vista. So that's why I don't recommend comparing two Playa Vista properties simply by saying this building's HOA is $500 and this one's $800, so the $500 HOA must be better. Not necessarily. The higher HOA fee might include expenses such as insurance coverage, utilities, or amenities the other association doesn't have. You also want to look beyond what you're paying today. When purchasing a condo, I recommend reviewing the HOA's financial statements, reserve funding, insurance coverage, meeting minutes, recent or upcoming special assessments, and the overall financial health of the association. A lower HOA isn't necessarily a bargain if the HOA is underfunded or facing future expenses. What do the Playa Vista community HOA dues help provide? This is also where you have to look at Playa Vista a little differently from a typical neighborhood. Part of the appeal of living here is the extensive network of amenities and shared spaces throughout the community. So Playa Vista residents have access to community features such as the resort and the CenterPointe Club, along with the pools, fitness facilities, and recreation areas as well. Then you also have Playa Vista's extensive park system, walking paths, sports and recreation spaces, landscaping, and overall pedestrian-friendly environment. You're also surrounded by everyday conveniences such as the restaurants, shopping, like areas on Runway in Playa Vista, and Concert Park. So rather than looking at Playa Vista community dues strictly as additional expense, I think buyers should ask, what am I receiving for my monthly cost, and when will I actually use it, for instance? So if you regularly use the pool, the fitness centers, the parks, the walking paths, and other community amenities, they can become a meaningful part of your everyday lifestyle. So Mello-Roos and property tax. Now this is one more expense we'll need to talk about. This is particularly important if you're looking at phase 1 of Playa Vista, which is the Mello-Roos. So what exactly is Mello-Roos? Mello-Roos is a special tax imposed on properties within certain community facility districts in California. So these districts can be established to help finance the infrastructure and public services associated with developing the community. So depending on the district, that can include things like roads, utilities, parks, schools, public facilities, and other infrastructure or services. Because Playa Vista was developed as a large master plan community, Mello-Roos became part of the tax structure for Phase 1 of Playa Vista. Phase 1 generally consists of an earlier Playa Vista community's constructed from approximately early 2000s through about 2009. Phase 1 properties are subject to the Mello-Roos tax. So Phase 2 properties do not have the same Mello-Roos assessment, and this is important. So Mello-Roos is completely separate from your monthly HOA fees. So if you're purchasing a phase 1 property, you also have the LA property taxes in addition to your Mello-Roos assessment and the Playa Vista community HOA fee along with your individual building HOA fee. Meanwhile, phase 2 homeowners, they'll still pay the Los Angeles property taxes, and they'll also have the applicable HOA fees for their building and also the community HOA fee as well, but phase 2 properties will not have the Mello-Roos assessment. And this is one reason you can't compare phase 1 and phase 2 properties together solely based on the purchase price. Phase 2 properties generally tend to be newer, larger, and at a higher price point, while phase 1 can offer a wider variety of condos and townhouses at different price point. But you need to take into account for Mello-Roos when calculating your overall cost. And because taxes, HOA fees, and assessments can change, I always recommend verifying the actual HOA documents and property tax bill for the specific home when you're considering before purchasing. The big takeaway is don't ask what's the price of the Playa Vista home, ask what's my total cost of home ownership here in Playa Vista, because that's the number that really matters. So next is the parks and outdoor lifestyle. One of the defining features in Playa Vista is the amount of green space. So Playa Vista has 29 parks spread throughout the community. They aren't all identical neighborhood parks, for instance. You'll find large gathering spaces, smaller pocket parks, playgrounds, sports areas, walking paths, and also landscape green spaces as well. Some of the best known parks in Playa Vista include Concert Park, Central Park, Crescent Park, and also Bluff Creek Fields. Concert Park is essentially the part of the social hub of the neighborhood. It's surrounded by the residents and also the local restaurants. Meanwhile, Central Park offers a completely different experience with the open green space and also surrounded by landscaping as well. And throughout the neighborhood, you'll find smaller parks tucked between the residential communities. So that contributes to something I think is really important about the Playa Vista lifestyle. It encourages you to be outside, so people will be walking, running, biking, and take their kids to the park. You can also walk to the dinner or also head to the gym, and you'll see people walking their dogs basically everywhere throughout the neighborhood. Next is the dog-friendly lifestyle in Playa Vista. If you have a dog, Playa Vista is especially a convenient place to live. There are walking paths and green spaces throughout the community, and Playa Vista has a dedicated dog parks as well. So because the neighborhood is so pedestrian friendly, taking your dog out doesn't necessarily mean walking around the city a few blocks, for instance. You incorporate the local parks, trails, and neighborhood into your everyday routine. So for instance, you'll see dogs at the local parks, outside the restaurants, and also walking around the Runway and Concert Park throughout the day. So for dog owners, that's a lifestyle benefit that's difficult to fully appreciate until you spend some time in the city here. The Runway restaurant, shops, and everyday lifestyle. So now let's talk about the things that make Playa Vista feel like its own little city. So the Runway in Playa Vista is the primary retail and entertainment destination. Here you have the Whole Foods Market, which is incredibly convenient for the residents. Then there's also a Cinemark in Playa Vista, so you can walk to the movies. Then you also have coffee, restaurants, fitness, and other business concentrated around the Runway. Then additionally, there's restaurants around Concert Park near Sea Bluff Drive, giving residents another walkable dining area option. Some of the dining options in and around Playa Vista include Soul and Low Key for Mexican food. You have Urban Plates for fresh and casual dining, Retrovo for Italian, you have Dan's Modern Chinese, Hop Daddy Burger Bar, and also Sweetfin for sushi and poke. So for your everyday coffee, for instance, in the morning you could head to Starbucks, also the Coffee Bean and Tea, which is located in the neighborhood. For the drinks and nightlife, local favorites include Gulp, which serves American food in a more relaxing setting. You have PB House, which is more of the neighborhood sports bar vibe. Then you also have Juliet, which offers a more elevated atmosphere that often feels like a hidden speakeasy. This is one of the many reasons I tell buyers where their exact location within Playa Vista matters. If you're near Concert Park, you have one more of a walkable living experience, for instance. If you're closer to the Runway, you have another, for instance. And because the community is relatively compact, you can move between the different areas pretty easily. Local businesses and everyday conveniences. Another thing I love about living in Playa Vista is how many of your everyday errands and wellness needs can be handled without leaving the neighborhood. So for groceries, you have Whole Foods Market, also the Yummy Supermarket as well, along with local conveniences such as Hollywood Cleaners for dry cleaning, for self-care and beauty. There's Escape Day Spa. Then you also have Beauty Beach Lounge, a hair salon. There's also 2 local nail salons, Glamature and Varnish Lab as well. If fitness is part of your everyday routine, Playa Vista has several options right in the community, including Studio MDR Pilates, you have Orange Theory Fitness, and also Monarch or Athletic Club as well. So having groceries, fitness, beauty and wellness, restaurants and coffee shops, and everyday services all within the neighborhood is another reason Playa Vista offers such a convenient and generally walkable lifestyle. So next is walkability and the healthy lifestyle. So if I had to choose one word to describe Playa Vista lifestyle, walkable would be the highest on my list. That's unusual, especially for Los Angeles. So depending where your home is located, you could potentially walk to your morning coffee, Whole Foods, local restaurants, the gym, the movies, the playground, for instance, the local dog park, community pools, and multiple parks, and even some of the workspaces here in Playa Vista as well. So that naturally creates a more active lifestyle. So instead of every activity beginning with getting in your car, you have opportunities to walk and bike throughout your normal day. You also have the Resort and CenterPointe Club providing additional fitness and recreational opportunities for the residents as well. So combine that with the 29 parks in proximity to the wetlands and beach lifestyle, and especially the bike paths as well here on the coast. It's a very easy to build an active lifestyle around where you live here in Playa Vista. Next is the weather and climate. Another major lifestyle benefit in Playa Vista is the weather. Because Playa Vista is only a few miles from the Pacific Ocean, has a coastal influence that generally keeps temperatures much more moderate than the inland areas of Los Angeles. So throughout the year, daytime temperatures tend to be in the mid-60s to mid-70s, with even cooler evenings. During the winter, daytime highs are typically in the mid to upper 60s, while summer temperatures are commonly in the 70s. So although warmer days into the 80s and occasional heat waves happen here in Playa Vista. So one of the biggest differences you'll notice compared to other areas farther inland is the coastal breeze. Playa Vista can be significantly cooler on a hot summer day than neighborhoods in the San Fernando Valley or other inland parts of Los Angeles, which is one of the reasons you'll see people outside walking, running, and using the parks throughout much of the year. There is also a trade-off of being this close to the coast. Late spring and early summer can bring Southern California's infamous May gray or June gloom, when the marine layer creates cloudy or overcast mornings. In many cases, that burns off later in the day and gives way to sunshine. So there are definitely mornings in Playa Vista that feels cooler and cloudier than other areas farther inland. But meanwhile, the winters here are generally mild, and most of Southern California rainfall occurs during the cooler months rather than the summer. So you're not dealing with snow or traditional four-season climate here. So outdoor activities remain accessible for most of the year. I think the weather is a big part of the overall Playa Vista lifestyle. So between the mild temperatures, coastal breezes, 29 parks, walking paths, and outdoor gathering spaces, the climate makes it easy to spend time outside. So whether you're walking your dog, exercising, heading to the runway for coffee or dinner, or simply walking around the neighborhood instead of getting in your car. For someone relocating to the area with very hot summers or cold winters, Playa Vista's mild coastal Southern California climate can be one of the biggest lifestyle upgrades. Next is schools and LMU. So families researching schools, there's an important distinction to understand. Playa Vista Elementary is the public elementary school located within Playa Vista itself. Once you're looking beyond elementary school, middle school, and high school options are located outside the immediate Playa Vista community. So school assignments and boundaries can change, so buyers should always verify their current enrollment and boundary information directly with the Los Angeles Unified School District. And just outside of Playa Vista is Loyola Marymount University. So LMU sits on the bluffs overlooking part of the west side, and it's only minutes from Playa Vista. So although the university isn't technically located in Playa Vista, it's an important nearby institution and part of another major landmark in this part of Los Angeles. So next is the Playa Vista amenities. So we'll talk about the resort and the CenterPointe Club. Another major decipher of living in Playa Vista is the resident-only community amenities. So particularly the resort and CenterPointe Club. These aren't amenities tied to just one condo building. They're part of the broader Playa Vista community experience, giving residents access to the pools, the fitness facilities, recreational places, and also the community programming right within the neighborhood. So we'll start with the resort. The resort is a newer and more upscale of the two recreation centers, and it really does feel more like a private fitness club rather than a traditional neighborhood recreation center. The facility features a large, modern fitness studio with cardio and strength training equipment, dedicated workout spaces, group fitness classes in the morning, and also wellness programming. So if working out is part of your routine, having a substantial fitness facility right here in the neighborhood is a huge convenience. But one of the biggest highlights of the resort is the pool area. So the resort features a lap pool for swimming and exercise, as well as a shallower kids pool option. So it's making it useful both for serious swimmers and also families with younger children. There are also 2 hot tubs as well, which is great for relaxation after a workout or simply enjoying the outdoor space. With the pools, hot tubs, and lounge areas surrounding the landscaping, the outdoor area feels much more like something you'd expect from a resort or private club rather than a typical neighborhood recreational center. There are also indoor and outdoor gathering spaces throughout the facility, making the resort feel much more simply than a place just to work out or swim. So next we'll talk about the CenterPointe Club. So the CenterPointe Club is located in the original Phase 1 portion of Playa Vista. CenterPointe also offers its own fitness center, lap pool, outdoor recreational spaces, so residents have another option for swimming and working out within the community. CenterPointe also has lap pools for exercise and recreational swimming, as well as 1 hot tub. So both the CenterPointe Club and Resort are especially convenient because you're not relying on just one community gym or a neighborhood pool. So depending where your home's located, you might find yourself using one facility more frequently simply because you can easily walk there. So a difference in the kind of LA lifestyle, and I think this is one of Playa Vista's features that's easy to underestimate when you're scrolling through the listings online. You can potentially walk from your home to the gym, take a fitness class, swim laps, relax in the hot tub, walk throughout the community's neighborhood parks, grab a coffee, pick up your groceries at Whole Foods, and walk home, all without really leaving Playa Vista. So that's a very different everyday experience for many parts of Los Angeles. So it also contributes to the healthy, active lifestyle Playa Vista is known for. So between the resort, CenterPointe Club, multiple pools, fitness centers, facilities, you got the 29 parks, walking and biking paths, sports and recreation areas, and the overall walkability of the neighborhood, staying active can become a part of your normal routine rather than something you always have to drive somewhere to do. This brings us back to the conversation about Playa Vista HOA fees. So for instance, when you're evaluating the monthly cost of living here, it's important to understand you're receiving in exchange for those community HOA fees. So you're not just simply paying for the landscaping or common area maintenance, you're also buying into the master plan community with the 2 major rec centers, the lap pool, the children pools, the hot tub, the fitness facilities, the parks, extensive landscaping. In addition to the walking paths, community spaces, also programming built throughout the neighborhood. So for buyers who are looking to use these amenities, they can be a significant part of the value, also a major part of what makes Playa Vista different from buying everywhere else on the west side. So next is the central location and community. Another reason why buyers choose Playa Vista is its location within Los Angeles. So you're close to LAX, Playa del Rey, Marina del Rey, Culver City, Venice, the beach, LMU College, and major Silicon Beach employers. So you're also positioned between traditional West Side and also South Bay, which can be particularly helpful for households where 2 people commute in different directions. So of course, this is Los Angeles, so traffic matters. I would never tell someone to choose a home just based on the mileage alone. So 6-mile commute in Los Angeles could be very different at 8 a.m. versus 2 p.m. So if you're relocating here, I always recommend testing your actual commutes during the times you normally be traveling to and from work. So next are the pros and cons of living in Playa Vista. So let's put everything together. Some of the biggest advantages of this city is the walkability, the 29 parks and abundant green spaces, the community amenities, restaurants, Whole Foods, coffee, the coffee shops, entertainment within the neighborhood as well, and also the central Westside location. We have the proximity to LAX and also the beach, and also newer housing compared to most of the adjacent surrounding neighborhoods of Los Angeles. They also have a very active lifestyle here, for instance, as well. And it's extremely convenient for dog owners, and there's a genuine neighborhood feeling that's different and difficult to find in other parts of Los Angeles. But there are some considerations also to factor in. The HOA fees can be significant. Phase 1 buyers need to understand more about the Mello-Roos tax, which we went over. So if your dream is a traditional Los Angeles home with a huge private backyard and no HOA fees, Playa Vista probably isn't something you ideally want to start your search results in. Some homes here are multi-level as well, which isn't ideal for everyone. So despite the central location, you're still dealing with Los Angeles traffic when you leave the neighborhood. So it's really about deciding whether the Playa Vista lifestyle justifies the cost for you to live here. What I would want to know before buying in Playa Vista. So if you're seriously considering buying here, these are things I would pay extra attention to. Number 1, understanding what phase 1 versus phase 2 means. They can offer very different homes, pricing, also tax structures. Number 2, don't compare properties based solely on price per square foot. The building, location, floor plan, lighting, outdoor space, parking, and condition matter tremendously. Number 3, understand all your monthly costs. So look at your building HOA fee, Playa Vista City HOA fee, LA City property tax, Mello-Roos when applicable, also for phase 1 residents. Number 4, it's important to review your HOA carefully. You don't just want to look at the monthly fee, you want to understand what exactly your HOA covers and also what the healthy reserves look like for your community, overall financial assessment of your complex overall. And lastly, number 5 is think where you want to be within Playa Vista. Do you want to walk out your door and be at Concert Park? Would you rather live near the Runway, for instance? Do you want a quieter location overlooking a courtyard or green space? Your location with Playa Vista can make surprisingly a big difference. And lastly, come experience Playa Vista before you buy. I think it's important that you walk around, enjoy a coffee in the neighborhood, walk through the Runway, visit Concert Park, walk throughout the residential streets, and then also come back in the evening. You'll learn more about whether the neighborhood fits your lifestyle just by spending a few hours here than you can from just looking at photos online and listings. Hopefully this video gave you a much better idea what it's like to actually live here in Playa Vista and what you know before buying a home or condo here. Again, I'm Alicia Rivett with the Agency in Beverly Hills. I specialize in Playa Vista, Silicon Beach, and the surrounding Los Angeles communities. So if you're thinking about moving to Playa Vista or buying and selling in Playa Vista, I'm going to link my contact information below. If you have a question about Playa Vista that I didn't answer in the video, feel free to leave in the comments and I'm going to be happy to answer that for you. As always, make sure to subscribe because I'll be covering more videos about Playa Vista and everything you should know about this wonderful city. So thanks again for watching. I hope to see you soon on the next one.